Now, the last time I was in Washington, you probably read something about it, I went to a thing called the Washington Correspondents' Dinner. Has anybody ever heard of this thing? And I walked in, and the press went crazy. I was leading the polls. And by the way, when I decided that I maybe wouldn't do it, I was also leading the polls. I like leading the polls. But I was at the Washington Correspondents' Dinner, and the press was going wild. Will the president be speaking about you, Mr. Trump? Will he say anything? I said, I have no idea. Probably not, but I have no idea. So I'm with my wife, and what happens is the president starts. And in all fairness, he was very respectful and very nice. And he just kept speaking about Donald Trump. And he kept going about the birth certificate, which, by the way, I got him to show. And nobody else could get him to do it. You know, the Clintons wanted to do it, and they wanted him to show it. And McCain and everybody else wanted him to show it. And Trump got him to show it. Now, you know, I don't know exactly what he showed, but, you know, someday somebody's going to figure that one out. Took a long time. So I go in, and he's speaking about Donald Trump for a big majority of his speech. And I'm knocking my wife under the table. I'm saying, honey, can you believe this? The president's talking about me. This is great. What an honor. What a great honor. It's great. I had a good time. And I sat there. I wanted to be a little stone-faced. I'm not going to be laughing and everything. But I was nice. I was cordial. But I'm telling Melania, isn't this great? The next day I wake up, and about 90% of the papers said Trump was humiliated. I was so honored. And that's part of really part of the problem that the Republicans are going to have. Nobody is protected like Barack Hussein Obama. Nobody. Nobody. I have never seen press that is so protective of a human being before. And, you know, I was thinking, he was over in England, and he made a horrendous toast at a very inappropriate time. And then he signed the ledger, or the registrar, as they would call it, May of 2008. So he was off 3 years. And I was saying to myself, I wonder what would have happened if George Bush signed it May of 2008. I wonder what would have happened if almost anybody was 3 years off. And the next day I watched the news, and they're saying, isn't that cute? Isn't that wonderful? Oh, that was so funny when he signed it. Oh, he's so smart. It was so funny. And this is a problem. We have a man who is being very, very much protected by the press. And it's going to be very difficult. But I'll tell you something about beating President Obama. If you remember, you know, they all talk about he's a great campaigner, he's this. If you remember the end of his campaign during the primaries with Hillary, she was winning every single primary. And he limped over the finish line, barely. And had that been a little bit later, had there been one or two of those early primaries, he would have lost. So, you know, they keep saying, oh, he's a great campaigner. He may be a good campaigner. But, you know, in golf they have an expression. They say, Johnny, he's looking for the clubhouse. He was looking for the clubhouse. And then you had a problem with the economy, and he got in. And the problem that we have now is unbelievable because the economy has gotten a lot worse, probably will get a lot worse. The jobs report today, I don't know if you have seen your television sets, but the jobs report today was a total disaster. And it's a problem. It's a real problem. We're up to 9.1%, but it's really not 9.1. It's 19 to 20 to 21%. That's the real number. We owe more as a country than $14 trillion. You know, it's funny. 2-3 years ago, you never heard the word trillion. It wasn't a word. Nobody knew what it meant. Today, all you hear is trillion. But we owe more than $14 trillion. And I'll tell you, we need a president. And I think one of the reasons that I have done so well and continue to do so well in terms of a popularity is not because of me. It's because of what I say, because it's basic, it's true, it's common sense, it's business. We need to create a wealthy country again, or we're going down the tubes. I mean, we are on a very slippery slope. And if we don't create wealth in this country soon, it's going to be a very, very long and ugly period of time.
What we're doing, and I said very simply, with respect to Libya, I'm interested in Libya if we take the oil. If we don't take the oil, no interest. We have to have, look, if we have wars, we have to win the war. What we do is we take over a country and then we hand the keys to people that don't like us. I'll tell you what, Iraq, 100% Iran takes over Iraq after we leave. And what really happens with Iraq is they want the oil fields. And I have it on very good authority that Iran probably won't even be shooting a bullet because they're getting along with the Iraqi leaders better than we are. After all of those lives and after all of the money we spent. And if that's going to happen, we take the oil.
Well, how do you think that would impact our relationship with other Arab countries if we go in and say, hey, we're taking the oil, or at least until we're paid back what we think we've spent? How do you think that would affect the Arab nations?
Who cares? Who cares? They've been taking advantage of us for years. They're ripping us off. They wouldn't exist if it weren't for us. Look at Kuwait. Saddam Hussein takes over Kuwait. We then drive him back, lose lives, spend billions of dollars. We get Red Adair and his groups to put out all the fires when he said all the oil was. We spend tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars. We hand them back the country. We give it back. They didn't pay us 10 cents. We give them back the country. And yet, you know what? If you go to Kuwait right now, they won't invest in the United States because they don't feel we're growing. They don't feel we're a good country for investment. They've told me the return on investment is not good enough in the United States. We gave back the country. We're stupid. Our leaders are stupid. It's been very interesting because recently somebody asked me the definition of entrepreneur. Now, it means a lot of different things. You have to have an idea, you have to never quit, you have to do a lot of different things. But something I've added over the course of the last few years, you have to be able to withstand pressure. I know a lot of people that are very smart, that have great ideas, everything's good, but they can't handle pressure. And if you can't handle pressure, you cannot be a great entrepreneur.
I think you almost have to thrive on it. You know, like you say, you have to do what you love. But I think I do it, there's a lot of things that I do and you do, I don't love. I do it because of the challenge of it. Because without that, I do it for the pressure. It makes me stronger, better, smarter. I know if I solve this problem, I'll be smarter at the end of the problem. So I think that's what the pressure that I like about this is because we're creating out of nothing. You know, when you created this building, there was nothing. And you said, now there's going to be a building here. And you go, wow.
Well, the word pressure is very interesting, and we're going to be doing a book together called The Midas Touch. And a lot of that book is going to be devoted to the word pressure. Because if you can't handle pressure, you cannot be successful, really, in my view.
Right.
Almost successful at all, let alone very successful.
Right.
So you have to be able to withstand and handle pressure.
Well, the book, The Midas Touch, you know, came from the idea that how come some entrepreneurs get rich, but most don't. And what the book is about is what you do and what I do that gives the edge to whatever we do. Because there's a lot of authors, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of guys on television, a lot of guys in real estate. But there are certain things that you do that give your buildings a 50% up value. You know, there's some things that you do that are magical. That you know, when I come to town, all I see is Trump buildings. I was just in Vegas, and all I see is Trump. You know, when I go to Florida, I see is Trump. Or Chicago, I just see Trump. And that's the magic of what the Midas Touch is about. There are certain things that you and I do that gives us the edge over the ordinary entrepreneur. For example, The Apprentice. How much was that worth? I mean, you know, not just for the television show, but how much was it worth to the overall Trump brand?
The Apprentice, by the way, for me has been a great
Oh,
It's just a great story.
Well, it was
because
part of the
nobody
comeback.
thought it was going to be successful. NBC didn't even sign me to more than a one-year contract. It was just a one-year thing. It was going to go on. It's going to go off. Like most shows, 97% of the shows that go on television fail. And The Apprentice was going to be, you know, a one-time shot. It was going to go on. It was going to get a couple of people. In the meantime, we've had 15 copies of The Apprentice. Many entrepreneurs, many great entrepreneurs copied it and failed.
Right.
And it's been a tremendous success, and now goes on again right after the Super Bowl. So that's been fun. It's fun when they tell you it can't make it.
and that's what an entrepreneur does.
I love it. It makes life much more exciting. But The Apprentice has been so much fun for me, and especially knowing that it wasn't going to make it, and then it becomes the #1 show on television. So it really has been a lot of fun.
Right. And that, again, the Midas touch goes back to you have a television show. I had my little public television
Right.
television shows. But when you write a book, it goes to a bestseller. When I write a book, it goes to a bestseller. That's the Midas touch.
And Robert, remember this. You wrote one of the biggest selling books of all time.
Personal finance, right?
Right. And who the hell knows who you are? Who knows you? Who knows this guy? But now they know him. And
Well, I couldn't
I
get on
think
Larry
I
King.
helped you.
You did, yes.
You know, it was very interesting. Larry King is a great guy, and he wants me on his show all the time, only because I get ratings. If I didn't get ratings, forget it. And one day Robert's up in my office, and he hears me telling Larry, I will not do your show. And Larry is a very persistent guy. Please do it, because I get ratings. Please do it, please do it. And that was the end. I said, I'm not doing it. And then Robert said to me, I've never been able to get on Larry King. I've never, ever, with this huge book, he's never been able to get on. And I called Larry back. I said, you know what, I'll do your show. Because I realized all of a sudden, in other words, you made me appreciate what I
you have,
had.
Yes. That's part of the Midas touch.
That's part of the Midas touch, but you have it also.
Well, thank you.